Okay, so this is game 2, Demiax versus SBMous, and the map is Lost and Found. We've got Demiax, the Terran, in the top right of the map, and SBMous, the Protoss, in the bottom left. Lost and Found is a big-ish map, a bit bigger than Blue Shift. The first expand here, your natural, is pretty easy to secure. And if you kind of position yourself in this area, then the sort of third and fourth aren't too bad to hold, because you can put some defensive structures down here, and you can put some defensive structures here, and then kind of park your army in this central area, and you know the defensive structures just need to buy you time. So it's definitely a map that can lend itself quite well to a macro style. For sure, but we'll see what happens. I'm curious about this probe. SBMous, you know, the pylon is... Oh, 2 pylons at home? That's a little odd. Very, very early gas. So I'm not sure what he's got in mind. A much more sort of standard opening from Demiax, almost identical to what we saw last game. Stalled on the worker production and almost the simplest too. So I wonder, you know, maybe a similar style coming out of Demiax, but I'm very curious about this probe. Okay, the gateway comes down at last. 2 gateways. I'm not sure. Maybe SBMous just thinking, I'll go scouting in a minute. I'll just park this here for a laugh for the time being. Well, we'll see. We'll see what occurs. Okay. So first Marine is out, and that can be a useful thing. This Marine can prevent scouting worker. If this worker tries to get in, you know, the Marine will open fire on it. That should give you enough time to close the door and prevent this worker getting in. It does just about sneak through, but the Marine does manage to pick it off before it gets to see very much. But let's have a peek, because my suspicion is this is what SBMous can see on his mini-map now. If he clicked on this at the time, he would recognise that it is another barracks. If he didn't click on it, you might assume that it's a factory, but no, this is a triple racks build, and generally 3 racks means a big Marine push, a big early Marine push, which is great. But I'd really like to see a continuation. You know, you're down to 11 workers income-wise. That is hurting. That's hurting a lot. I'd also like to see the orbital. So a couple of sort of macro errors from Demiax that really she needs to get on top of. An earlier expand this time from Demiax though, and that is a good sign. But you know, saturate this. Is desperately important. A reasonably early, not quite as early as it was in the last game, but a pretty normal, I suppose, timing for the expand for our Protoss player. When I say normal, what is a normal time for an expand? When your main base is saturated, 16 workers mining minerals, 3 in each gas, well then you need an expand. So the normal time to do it is drop this. You know, if spending the money isn't going to interfere with any plans that you've got, drop this shortly before this gets saturated, like maybe when you're on 14 of 16 with gas being mined. You can start to build this. You know, the idea being that you want to steadily increase your income, and obviously once this is saturated, additional workers don't really make a significant income difference. Okay. Engineering bay is finished, and a pretty common thing to do when you're playing against Protoss is to drop a turret in your mineral line, and the reason for that is because the Oracle is such a popular way to open as a Protoss, and an Oracle isn't something that we've seen so far, but Oracles can be devastating. An Oracle is a light flying unit that activates a sort of pulsar beam that kills light ground units incredibly quickly, so it can plow through workers just phenomenally fast. You know, an Oracle is fast moving as well, so it can turn up in your mineral line, and it can get rid of 5-6 workers before you've had a chance to react pretty handily. At pro level, an Oracle tends to get 2 workers. Is the sort of expected thing. At the level I play at, an Oracle can get sort of 4 or 5 workers if it isn't seen in time. At sort of EMS noob tournament level, an Oracle can be game ending. An Oracle that isn't well responded to can certainly do an awful lot of damage. So the standard thing is prevention is better than cure. If you have got a turret, Oracles, they're light units, they don't really take a beating. So the engineering bay allows you to build turrets, and so it's common enough to see when against a Protoss, a Terran build an early engineering bay just for that purpose. But turrets are not what we're seeing from Demiax. The Demiax build here looks very similar to before, right down to the sensor tower in roughly the same place. If this is a starport, it is. This picture here is almost identical really to what we saw last time with the wall of supply depots being built. And hey, that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? If you've just won a game with a particular style, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I wonder what we're going to see from SBMous this time. We've got stalkers being built, and almost entirely stalkers. Did I? No, I didn't. Oh, I did. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Twilight Console, sorry, is in production, and that will allow Blink to be researched, which is a really handy upgrade. Ooh, triple robo here, so that's an interesting turn up for the books. From the robo, various units that are very, very good. You have the Immortal, which does fantastically well against armored units, brilliant against siege tanks, brilliant against marauders, doesn't shoot up. Not so good against things like Marines. If you're playing against Zerg, Immortals are excellent against roaches. They are poor against lings. The other alternative is the Colossus comes out of here as well. And the Colossus is expensive, but does splash damage at a furious range, and these Widowmines could well have a field day here. So that has definitely lightened up these stalkers. You can see this one has taken a lot of damage, this one's lost its shields, and these Marines will easily clean that up. But Demiax, you need to lower all of these so you can get these Marines out, because look, only about 4 Marines are actually shooting. I think a little bit of an error not to kill the Widowmine. Widowmines become visible once they have fired, so you might as well take them out. Anywho, the defense here holds strong, and that was pretty expensive. With 7 stalkers there being lost, that is fairly pricey compared to 5 Marines, which is not. So I don't think SBMous will be in a hurry to try that again. This cannon wall at the front is kind of good. It'll prevent anything but a fairly serious push coming through. But I'd really like to see shield batteries. Shield batteries are awesome things. If anything, I'd prefer to see some units parked here and 2 shield batteries than all these cannons. But that's just my personal preference. Cannons aren't bad. Vision-wise, hasn't been a lot of scouting. A couple of scans I think went on, but not much information about the inside of this base. So Demiax doesn't know about these 3 robos. Now that they're all standing idle, I would sort of question why 3 of them is absolutely necessary. But anyway, again, I find SBMous does a really good job here of getting economy up and running. Let's just look at how healthy that economy is at this stage. It's solid. There's 3 bases here, and a Protoss on 3 base can be devastating, but again, hasn't quite got the production to match the income. So once this 3rd base, and it is up and mining, what we're going to find here is that this income stash just outweighs the expenditure. We're going to see SBMous just start to pull minerals or end up with just queues. I'd like, given that he has seen that his opponent is marine heavy, the best thing SBMous could be building here would definitely be the Colossus, and this thermal lance upgrade increases the range of the Colossus significantly. So hopefully that is what we will see being built. They're in queues. But SBMous, please build more gateways, and ideally research warp gate here, so that you can turn these into warp gates, so that you can really quickly warp in units. These immortals, you know, they pack a hell of a wallop, and this is a lot of them. Pretty unusual to actually have huge numbers of immortals. What you tend to do with immortals is you have a few of them in the back of your army, to just really add to its firepower, to really add to its output, and to tank against really heavy stuff. They're very good for that. So the immortals are in the mix to take out the siege tanks, but they won't fare well against stim marines, and I'm assuming these do have stim. They do. They have got combat shield. They're up to 55 health. They are 1-1, so this push is unlikely to be successful. The siege tanks here are doing a lot of damage, and you can see the hardened shield, the barrier on the immortals triggering to essentially not take damage from that, but the marine fire just eats through immortals so quickly, and I fear that if we look at the units kill tab, the imbalance is huge. But let's have a peek at the resources lost tab. Look how imbalanced it is. That's pretty astonishing. So again, Demiax is in very good shape in this game, this time by simply being patient, and seeing off a couple of pushes from the Protoss. I would have loved for these Colossus to be in this fight. Oh, that's careless. Very careless indeed. These now have no medevac support. And here a shield battery would just make such a difference. These immortals would be immortal. But I don't, you know, there's just too much terrain here. This army will eat through this. You know, yeah, there's going to be losses, but ultimately this will get cleaned up. But these Colossus could be making a huge difference. The splash damage they do, it's terrifying to watch them chew up Marines. Bare naked Colossus on their own are not that good, but you know, Colossus with things like Zealots in front of them to tank can do superbly. Here we go, it's like War of the Worlds. Look at the splash damage it's doing to these Marines. You know, the Marines are dying in their droves here, but it's too late. It's just too late. Look at that one Colossus, 13 kills, 16 kills, 19 kills. You know, had those been in the fight initially, it might have gone very differently. That splash damage that they do is so awesome, but they do need something in front of them to tank. You don't want Marines, you want your Colossus to be alive, essentially. Now these Immortals can focus this sword and definitely win that Immortal. Look how much damage they do. So this does get cleaned up. The army supply, however, still in favour of Demiax, and Demiax will be feeling pretty good about taking this out. However, this third base is saturated. I'd like to see some gases come down here, so SBMous is in actually pretty good shape. The 3 robos here, churning out immortals. I'm just, you know, you've just witnessed with your own eyes how good the Colossus were. You've seen it with your own eyes. You know, you had a lot of immortals. They died, and then 3 Colossus pretty much cleaned up. So I would really question why there's queues of immortals here. Why SBMous isn't just going, hang on, those Colossus things worked pretty well, let's build a bunch of those. Because look, these immortals will just die to Marines. They just die to them. They overkill single Marines. You need something that does splash. If you're Protoss playing against Marines, what you want to build is, this drop, if it's seen, it is seen, but there's no reaction here. This drop could end the game. These are full of Marines. Stim Marines just dropped into the middle of the base here. Will take out all of this production. Is there enough at home to defend? Arguably yes. The Immortals are going to get tied up knocking these down. Not that many Marines here though, but more being built all the time. I think there is enough at home to defend, and this is going to clean up the production of the Protoss. This structure, the Robo Bay, is crucial for the Colossus production. The Colossus does come out, but it's running away, which is probably sensible. One on its own can't do much against this. Let's have a look on the other side of the map. Well, these Immortals will wreck a Thor. They'll wreck the siege tanks. The Colossus is coming too. This is going to be reasonably close. The Immortals are still standing strong. There's enough Marines here, I think, with the medevac support, keeping them alive. Only the Colossus remains. Look, 11 kills. You know, turned up and still manages to crank out 11 kills on these Marines. Awesome stuff. I can't help but feel, SBMous, that commitment to Immortals has cost you a game. had you just said, sod it, I'm building nothing but Colossus now, yeah, we could have gone different. So 2-0 for Demiax, and you know, honestly, it could have been different. It absolutely could have been different. Who knows? Those were close games. I like what I'm seeing from both of these players. To be honest, this is good stuff. GG.